Just let me double check. I'm going to jump on my profile just to make sure it's working. It'd be so much easier if you just made it over this side of the country instead of that side, and then we could have had a coffee and sat next to each other.
Exactly. Well, that'll come.
Yeah, won't be far away.
No, definitely not.
All right. Okay. Looks like we're working. Looks like we are working on here and on there. Awesome. Okay. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. For those of you that do or don't know, Sammy is a very, very, very close friend of mine now. We were client and coach for a little while, but it's been a wonderful journey to get this far and to still become really close friends. There's a cool quote that comes to my mind all the time. It's like, your clients will become your friends before your friends will become your clients, right? Always happens. And I think there's a couple of reasons for it. I think your friends see you for the experiences that you've had with them in the past, whereas people that you coach or train or do things with like that, they take you for the person that you really, really are, because I think you become more of yourself. So in that aspect, like, kudos to you too, because becoming friends now has been awesome. I think it's really, really cool. And we don't have that same relationship as before. We have more of a friendship, whereas like you both can lean on each other and talk about life's ups and downs. So it's a pretty awesome feeling to have, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me to start off what I thought to start off with was to lose weight, was a weight loss journey, became so much more than that for me in the end. And to not come out of it, but continue the journey and have a friendship that it started off somebody that you became vulnerable with and a coach, and you spilled everything out to, then all of a sudden it's like you don't feel like you've got a coach, you've got a friend. And I think that's really important to any transformation of your mind, body or soul. It's like I've got a friend out of it, so I'm winning.
I like it. That's cool. That's a good insight. I think that's really important. Like for me, when I have coaches for whatever it is I need in life, I need to get along with them. I don't want them to be overbearing, overpowering, or not letting me have an opinion or be myself. And I think that, like, to me, I need that in my life. So I would rather, that's the kind of coach that I want to become or have become.
Yeah, I think when you come into something like this, when you decide that self-care is on top of your priority, then I think it's a very confronting place to be, because ultimately it's not a coach you need, it's a friend. And I definitely needed, when I was at my lowest point of just putting on weight, feeling healthy, the negativity inside my own head was, I needed a coach or somebody to direct me in the right path and say, like, look, break it down for me, about your food, your nutrition, all those things. But ultimately, it's having a listening ear and somebody that you can support you through that transition of your mindset, as well as, there's that imposter syndrome when you're going through a journey like this, and you can't see what others see in you. So when you have that light, that torch being shone on you and told, well, this is what I see in you, and we had never even met. Like, what? Like, seriously? And the things that I felt that were my Achilles heel or my weakness was actually my strength. And you showed me that that's not a weakness to be sensitive. It's not a weakness to show emotion. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to be okay. You don't have to be perfect. And that to me was where you shone that light on those imperfections, where I thought were weaknesses, which you told me that were strength. And that's when the mindset started to shift, because you need somebody there supporting you through that transition. It's not easy. I still have self-doubt. It's now I don't just pick up the phone to be, I need my coach, it's like I need my friend.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be those moments. But if you've got the support, it was life-changing for me. It was really life-changing. I will say that repetitively, because it was completely confronting all those things that I thought that were weaknesses were actually my strength. And the amount of messages, it was like, pick up the shield and the sword, put the armor on, come on. Because I think the negative influence around me at the time, I was feeding into it a lot. I was believing those negative connotations inside my head and what was going round about me. And once I blocked those out and started to have a little bit more self belief in myself, and somebody shown me that light saying, so what if they don't like you? So what if they have an opinion? So what, you know, if you stripped it all away? I remember that conversation we had so vividly, and you said to me, what they think of you is none of your damn business. And I remember thinking, yeah, right, it's what I think about myself. You know, what's more ethnic and ground makes you more yourself. So it's what you believe in yourself and what you feed yourself. It's more important what others' opinions are.
Yeah, so true. I think one of the hardest things for you was you worked in an industry of making people look perfect, like, being a beauty therapist and a hairstylist and all the rest of it. And when you're surrounded by that all the time, it's hard not to have that perfectionism with everything you do. And the moment we realize we can be great at anything, we just can't be perfect, is when you can actually just truly become who you really are. And I think that's awesome. That's testament to you too, because like the road we traveled wasn't easy. There was a lot of, late night phone calls, early mornings. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot of laughter. But the one thing that shines to me the most is always been authentic. You haven't you haven't tried to be anything different. And when you've always been open to criticism, you've always been open to try different things. You've always been open to looking at things the other way rather than you had this mindset and this is what I thought. And it's like, hang on, what about if you thought about this position with the person or whatever the situation was? And I think that's where you really opened up to yourself was, hey, I'm super critical all the time. Why can't I just pull back a little bit and go, well, I'm not perfect. Neither of that is that person. Their opinion, like you said, doesn't really matter. So let's just move on.
Accountability. Like it was such a blaming game. Like I don't deserve this. Like I'm doing the best I can, and they people are still saying this about me, and and to be honest, I'm grateful for all the mistakes that I've made because it shows me that I am perfect. But my God, it makes me look back to go, what growth have I come? Because it's accountability, and I will continue to make mistakes. And I think this whole journey is now that I'm teaching my children, my two boys, especially my 13-year-old, it's like you're going to, you're going to do it at some point, and it's okay because if you don't, how do you expect to learn? How do you expect to grow? It's important to mess up, and by God, I've got a book about messing up. I'm grateful for it because it's made me for who I am now. It's opened my mind to accept change and take accountability and learn, grow. Growth's everything, and that is with your mindset and being open to different ways of thinking. Because if you think you're standing your conviction that I'm right, I'm always right, there's two sides to every situation. And yeah, maybe you're a little bit, you can be right at times, but if you get too much involved with feelings and it becomes about feelings instead of being logical, and I always was a person that went on feelings all the time, feelings all
Mm.
the time, stop myself from feeling that way or making those mistakes. I would stop myself, and it was like you showed me. It's like, well, let yourself feel it, but don't wallow in it. Like, okay, you're allowed to be upset, but come on, logical brain here. This happened because of da 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 da. And equally, 9 times out of 10, you'd say to me, "Well, you put yourself in that situation." I was like, "Oh, fine, never." And it was so true. It was like I wasn't going to do that, and I did it. So yeah, you're right. It was just the switch went off, and God, yeah, it's a it is a wonderful feeling when you take accountability. It is, and it is a good feeling. It's empowering at times. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, it is a good feeling. I think For me, the most memorable thing that happened was the day you rang me and told me that was time for you to move forward without coaching. And the position that I'm in, gratefully that I am, there's no better feeling in the world when you know someone is ready to move forward. And like that day was, it was just awesome because I guess you've been the most closest client that I've ever had in terms of relationship wise. Um, Most vulnerable, most empathetic, most open to listening, and all the rest of it. But like that to me, the growth that you had over the 2 or 3 years that we were together coaching was just huge. It was so big, and there were times where I didn't even have to say anything, and you would just like you would come to grips with what was happening, and you just finally got the got over whatever you were going through, and that's the best part because obviously you can lead so far. You have to make the person make a decision. It has to be on you. I can't tell you what to do. I can only guide you. But yeah,
That's
it started off with weight loss, and then it went to the mindset straight away, right?
I know it started off like I think I did the 3 months sign up to start with, and I was like, okay, I was seeing the results, and I was like losing the weight, I was sleeping better, and it was just breaking things down and not making things complicated. That's what it was. It was like follow the goddamn plan, and it really is as simple as that. And then other factors came into it, and I always remember such a confronting question from. It was actually two confronting questions you asked me, and it was, what's your why? And I remember saying all these things. It was about everybody else, and you were like, what's your why? And I said to you what my why is, and you're like, that's about everyone else. And I was like, holy crap, like I don't know. I don't know what makes me happy because it's always been everything else. It's everyone like on, first and foremost, I'm a mum, and then I'm a wife, and then I had, my salon that I ran and the stresses of that. And it was like, that was all the whys. And then I was like, and then I remember you saying like, what makes you happy? And I sat and I did not have an answer to that question. And I remember it being so confronting. And it opened up a total door to me going, well, what makes me happy? Because it's everyone else's happiness that I'm leading my life on. If they're happy, I'm happy. And it's like, well, that doesn't sustain either. Like, what makes me happy? And it was, I think I've always like kind of played up to the character, like Sam the hairdresser, flamboyant, there for everybody, positivity, and then you come to a point that you're so overstimulated, you're emotionally drained, that I had nothing else to give to anybody because I'm always there for everyone else. So when it came to my own self-care, my own self-love, I had nothing to give myself. And my cup was definitely half empty, like 100%.
I was more than half empty.
Depleted. I was dehydrated. So, yeah, I think that's when I really started to question everything and everyone around me, and maybe living in a little bit of toxicity because it wasn't really making me happy. And I think that character, it is who I am, but it's also a facade as well that we tend to put up and kind of block everything else out. And I like my own company as much as I thought I didn't. I liked going for those walks. I liked getting up for the sunrise where we would get up. I would get up at 5 in the morning to make sure I had that call with you because it was important to have that time, to have a sounding block to speak to somebody about how I'm feeling. And I think it was so important to invest that time in myself instead of making excuses that, oh, I don't have the time. I made sure I had that call with you in the morning, and it was pitch black, like in Scotland, and it was like sunshine where you were, and your three intentions, like what is your day going to be, like make sure you've got, and that time for me to just offload and speak and be vulnerable. Eventually, like I thought, I actually really enjoy these walks. Like this is where it's like bringing me calm, and it makes me collect my thoughts, and stop me being overstimulated because I've got to do so much. And it was just that 1 hour to myself. And I thought, that I do like my own company, and it was something that surprised myself that I actually quite like that. When I always surround myself with so many people, and busy, 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 busy. And obviously coming at now moving to Australia, I'm spending a lot of time by myself because the kids are at school and Jan's working, and I'm loving it. I didn't think I would. We still need the connections, but I'm at peace with that. And had I 2 years ago had been given this opportunity to come to Australia and leave what I thought my why was, there's no way I would have done this because I wasn't emotionally ready for it. Whereas I've come now, I'm such more stronger in my convictions and my mindset that this was my chapter, this was my time to slow down. I don't need to be busy. I don't need to fill my life with all these people and make everything. I'm on this constant hamster wheel that I'm just slowing down and I'm starting to enjoy. And my why is so much more different from when I started to now.
Isn't it funny how the world has a way of preparing you for something that's about to happen? And like you, obviously, there was talks about Jan possibly getting a job in Australia and all the rest of it, early on. But now that you have time to yourself, and it's like I'm not taking anything away from all your friends and family in Scotland, like that's a massive part of you that you've had to leave behind. But having the ability to be present in your own company and enjoying it is a wonderful feeling. And that's not to say you'll never make friends because you already have, and you've got your gym buddies and all the rest of it. But have like when the kids are at school and you can have that time to yourself and appreciate who you are, and even work deeper on yourself and have some good thoughts about the past and what you can plan for the future. It's a really good feeling, and I think it's everything you do in life is for a reason for the future, and your plan, whether it's losing weight or fixing your headspace, it's getting you into a position when you do have an opportunity. You're not going to say no. You're going to say, "Fuck yeah, I'm ready for that. I'm doing it."
Remember you saying to me, there was obviously not going too personal, but there was obviously a situation. And I was like, oh, I was making every excuse under the sun. And you were like, are you scared? And I went, yeah. He's like, well, you were like, well, do it. Because then that means you have to do it. If you're scared, that means, and I was like, right, God, Jay, you are right. I mean, having you as a coach has literally changed my life. And I'm not just saying that because we're sitting in the call. I mean, I've told you that many of the time.
Yeah.
And I remember, obviously, we'll talk about this, and as I sent you a very personal video that I didn't want to be showed to anybody. It was Hogmanay, and obviously you'd had your Hogmanay, and it was Hogmanay meaning New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Scottish lass in me.
I'm gonna have to put closed captions on this one, mate, because everyone's thinking they're watching Braveheart. So,
and I sent you a very personal video thanking you,
yeah,
and it was a turning point for me, because I've never felt so thankful and appreciative to have had you in my life and still have you as a friend, because I think when you are vulnerable and you are going through the shit and you feel like you're being attacked from every angle and it's all very self-wallowing and you're depressed and you're anxious and you're living on your last nerve, it's so important to have that coach / friend. And I don't really like referring to you as a coach because
yeah,
I never to me, and I think that's one of your amazing magical traits because I never felt like I was being coached. I felt like I was being guided by a friend, and I think that is so important to let somebody in that you don't necessarily know. It's daunting. You think, why am I being so vulnerable? But that is what you are good at. That's good at seeing that somebody's not okay, and it's actually not just saying, hey, how's you? It's like, are you okay? And you're like, oh. And I think it's important to like really get that message across that to invest in yourself and find that friend that, yeah, I know it's a part of your job and I know all that, but it's the best money I spend. And I don't mean it to come across that way,
yeah. No, I understand what you're saying.
and you were so available for me, and that was like with an 8-hour difference across the other side of the world, and it was like you were still there. You were at the end of a message, you were at the end of a call, you were at the end of a Zoom call, you rescheduled them in. And there was times that I was like, I can't do this today. I can't. I'm not there. I don't have a problem. Sometimes I was like, I don't have anything to speak about. And you're like, no, I'll see you there. And we just talked about life. And it came off and I thought, God, we've had another breakthrough, and I didn't even think I needed a breakthrough, and it was those times that were so important to have, so important.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I promised I won't get teary, but I'm starting to get that way because it's look, it's not validation, it's recognition, and it's lovely. That the message you sent to me was one of the greatest things that I've ever received from somebody else. And it just makes me so happy that you're happy. I think that's the greatest thing. And you've moved to Australia, and now I'll be seeing you sometime next year, which is going to be unbelievable. So it just goes to show it doesn't matter where you are in the world, we're never disconnected, right?
Be laughter, it'll be
Yeah.
like opinion in the world, because it's important to say that me and you have never met in person, never, and we've been like 2-3 years, and it's crazy to think that you can have a friendship with somebody from the other side of the world, and and here I am, we're in the same country, but we're still miles apart in a way, even the time difference is still different, so but yeah, that reunion is going to be like
I know.
epic.
Your hubbies and my wife are just going to say, just like, what the fuck is wrong with these two?
We'll come back.
It's pretty cool, mate. It's pretty cool. I like I'm loving that you're chasing your dreams. I know you had to give up a lot to move. You built a business and it was very successful, and you had to push that to the side to follow your families. But I think the awesome part is the headspace that you're in. Like, you'll find something obviously when you want to start working again, but it's like you've given your boys and your hubby a new chance at something different, like a new lifestyle. And I think that's pretty cool to do, like upend it all. Like, it's pretty admirable you to be able to do that, right?
Well, to me, it was about, you always have goals in life, and my goal was always to have my own place. My goal was always to have my own salon, and and I think that goal, not, I'm not trying to sound like, oh, that was achieved, but I kind of ticked that box, and I thought that was my fulfillment. I thought, oh, I'm going to be, this is me, and I'm going to work in my little town and be surrounded by all my family and friends. But there was just still something niggling away, that I'm 38, and I've lived in a small town my whole life, and I was like, oh, we've got Turkey every year, or we've done some, obviously we've been to America, and we're kind of spicing things up, going different places and going to like Amsterdam and stuff like that. But I remember just sitting thinking, is this us now? There's 30 years going like that. My son's about, my eldest is about to be 14. The youngest has started school, and I thought, where do I see myself in 5-10 years? And I would have never really wanted to, my mindset would have never coped even looking 5 years down the plan, because I would have been scared of even going down that path. But I remember me and Jan talking, and this opportunity came, and I was like, we sat down as a family, and my eldest, one of my proudest moments actually, said, I said, look, you need to be on board with this as well, and he went, Mum, life's for living. Wow, you're 13, like, you're right. And the opportunity was too good to pass. And I'm also in the mindset of, if it doesn't work out and I want to go home, then I will. It's not a big deal. We think mountains out of molehills. We really do. And it's, when you're given an opportunity, it's like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to miss, I've got some really close circle of friends, and obviously I'm very close to my family, and I've left, like, my niece and my nephew, and I never thought that would have ever been on the cards for us. But at the same breath, this is an opportunity of a lifetime, and I've never thought that would have been the case for us. So it is scary, it is daunting, but I also remember somebody telling me, if you're scared, you should do it.
Well, I'm not going to say I was right, but
Feel in a strange roundabout way. A lot of people message me, how are you getting on, and this, and how you feeling, and the word that keeps coming up to play is that I'm at peace. I'm content.
Wow.
And my boys thrive. And also going into situations like new schools, new way of life, and they are just, as children, are grasping that and just, and I'm like, wow, you know, at home I maybe wouldn't have appreciated that how much our children just get on with things. And as adults, we cluster away and we think, oh God, I'm making the right choices, and kids just go. And I'm looking at for them for the strength at times, when I am feeling a bit homesick and missing normality, and routine. But I'm also in the same breath grasping it that there's no routine. There is, every day is an adventure. Every
Yeah.
day, we're sitting down, quality family time, whereas we never did that at home because life was too busy.
Yeah,
Priority.
and too comfortable too. And the wonderful thing about kids is they haven't had enough experience for for them to defend their situation. Their resilience level is huge, and they will adapt really, really well. It's the parents, it's us, they're super resistant because we don't want them to feel left out, or potentially be put to the side, or bullied, or whatever it is. But what if they're not, like you said? What if they're thriving and they're enjoying the new environment, and you give them an experience? I think the thing that's missing the most in life at the moment, especially for our kids, is experience. It's too much. Let's buy them whatever they want and give them this and give them that. But no, like what they want is time. They want your time. They want peace within the family. They just want to be loved, and they want your time. And that's more important than a motorbike or a stupid present they're going to throw away.
As a parent, and for me, I didn't realize like how negative my impact and my mindset was having an impact in my family little unit, because they were seeing me not at my best and not happy and not thriving within myself. So they're looking and seeing mum's not that happy, but I'm putting on a front, and I was on that wheel. And when I've done so much work on myself, that they're seeing the best version of me, and that brings out the best version in them. So it wasn't just about losing weight; it was feeding you. What you feed this feeds this and feeds and works from the top down.
Yeah.
And it was more important. Am I where I want to be with weight? Possibly not. But am I more in love with myself and more content on my with me than I ever have been in 38 years? Absolutely.
Fuck. That's epic. Because I was just about to say the one thing we haven't talked about at all on this call is how much weight you lost, how you feel in your clothes. Like that's not important because it'll fluctuate all the time. It's about being happy within yourself, like you just said, being back in love with yourself, looking at the reflection in the mirror and being happy like that. That trumps anything. The only reason why weight loss can be the biggest advantageous thing is that it's a little bit of a confidence booster and all. But I mean, if you have the mindset of, yeah, you can switch back on when you need to. Like you could easily, if you wanted to drop a few kilos, you just switch back on what we've taught you. Easy to do. You'll be back down a couple of kilos, feeling or looking a little bit physically better for yourself. But it doesn't matter. Like I'd rather be a little bit chubby and get to eat donuts and have good fun with my family than being restricted at 1,600 calories all the time and worried about it.
Pressure on yourself. That was always my kind of, wasn't it? That's where I was always like a bit like, oh, I'm not doing the thing. I'm not doing the thing. I'm not doing that. And you were like, right, stop, like stop. Overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. And you're like, stop. What are you overwhelmed about? And I'm like, and then when we cut it down, the only pressure anybody was, it was myself. I was putting myself under so much pressure to do the steps, the water intake, the calories, the protein, and I thought, oh, you're like, just focus on one thing, and that one thing then became a habit, and then I did the other thing, it became a habit, and the other thing, and I still live a very full life. I still have treats. I still have the odd glass of wine. You know, have a very bit. The difference is it's where the priorities change. So the priority may go in and sitting in front of a movie, eating and drinking, and that's not the priority for me. My priority is feeling better. So then that becomes then actually, I don't want to eat that big, starchy food. I want some food that's going to give me the energy. It makes me feel good. So it has like this knock-on effect anyway, that it all starts with the mindset. And you can't jump into something if to this journey of weight loss and being coached. I hate saying that, that, but
Yeah.
hate is you've got to be open to have change. And when somebody is shouting for help and screaming and you're in a room and nobody's putting their head up, that one person messaged you saying, "Are you okay?" was life changing for me.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, you're 100% right. I like. Okay, let's not use the word coaching, but it's what it is, and I think everybody out there has to realize that nobody's self-made. Everybody's somewhere along the lines. Whoever's been wealthy has had a bank loan. Whoever's done something successful has usually had a parent that sacrificed something to put them to where they are. So it's no different for when you're feeling low or feeling down or you're not feeling yourself, especially when we're in our 30s and 40s. I think that's the time when a lot of parents realize that health is the biggest wealth that they'll ever have. It's not about the house, it's not about the cars and all the rest of the stuff. It's about, can I be alive long enough to see my kids and get my grandkids, or not, blow my back out when I've been able to pick up the groceries in my 70s or pick up the grandkids. That's the more important at the moment. So the fact that, like, what you've just said is the best thing. It's become a habit now that you don't even have to worry about it too much. You can still enjoy life to its fullest, have the snacks, have the high calorie stuff, but then, you still walk and you're still going to the gym, you're still doing the things that are good, but your headspace is in the right spot. So it's absolutely brilliant.
That was one of my priorities when we got to Australia. Was I said, and you're going to be out working, the boys are going to be at school, I'm going to be on my own, I need to do something for me. So the first thing I did was looked for a local gym, and I go to the gym not just to keep fit, it's for my mindset, it's for time on my own, it's to work, it's to release, it's that good feel factor to, oh yeah, I've done something for me. And I think that's so important when you start off this journey of self-love and self-care, is prioritizing yourself instead of everybody else around you. Because once you're there and you start to have a little bit more self-care, then everyone else gets the best of you rather than them getting cup and ball, at my point, dehydration. So I think it's so important that you start off something like this, that you do have to become selfish. And I just couldn't get my head around that until we start having our coaches and calls and stuff like that. And you were like, you look, why do you feel selfish? Why are you feeling like that? That mindset change as well. It's been an absolute blast. And there is times like I'm far from perfect, but that's the first conversation I'll have. By the way, I'm Sam, and I ain't perfect.
It's a good feeling when you can admit that, because we're drummed in from a very young age, especially women, but you have to do everything right. You have to be, absolute perfect at everything you do. And it's untrue. You never learn if you don't make mistakes. So what were your biggest doubts or fears when you started your journey?
Failing. 100% failing. Not being good enough. Being vulnerable. Letting somebody in. It was loads. It was all the self-doubt you could possibly think of was me. And that was so scary, but it's also when I needed the help the most. When I had all those self-doubt, all that criticism, all that weight on my shoulders, which wasn't really anybody else's weight but my own.
A confronting question to ask, and it's probably something a lot of people will ask, is how does it feel to have a man coach a woman in that aspect? And because a lot of people out there are hesitant on um, that type of relationship.
To me, I felt it was actually easier because I'm in an environment where, with my job, especially being a hairdresser, women are very critical of each other. And I strongly despise it. Like, women will sit and we're all known for it. especially myself as well, like you're sitting, you hear things, and of course it's gossip or it's something, and we all thrive on that. Women tend to tear each other down instead of building each other up. Not all women, I'm not saying that, but there's a small majority of women that will build each other up. And I felt it was easier with you being a male coach because there was no judgment there. That, you know, me talking about my feelings, I knew in a way maybe possibly you weren't going to say, oh, you're just being oversensitive and being dismissive of those feelings. I think that, you know, well, you're a good listener, which is good because I like to talk. But, you know, but, you know, you're definitely, I found it definitely easier having a male coach than a female coach because of the environment maybe I possibly work in, or sometimes feel that women are quick to judge because we sometimes go, oh no, I'm really tired, and I've like, I've got the 2 kids. Well, I've got 3 kids, and I work that, you know, and it's like, oh right, okay, sorry, and you know, you feel judged a little bit that you're going to have to do a harder time than me. I should just shut up and think, you know, pull my socks up and get on with it. Whereas you had a lot of empathy of certain situations that I was talking about, and to say, oh God, you know, and God, I maybe should say that to my wife, you know, like, you know, that appreciation of one another. You know, I find it really a lot easier to have a male coach than a female coach, to be fair.
What about having a coach that's vulnerable and shares his thoughts and feelings and stuff like that as well? Because a lot of people think that a coach or someone like that's got to be a hard ass and is just going to yell at you and tell you to do this and do that. But like, I think my philosophy is I want people to know that I'm just like them. I'm no different. I'm not higher. I'm not lower. I'm on their equal. But I also want them to know that I've been through a lot of shit in life as well, and I have a lot of chinks in my armor. I'm refined. I'm not like this perfect specimen of a health coach that are, you know, blasted in our faces online all the time. So having somebody like me that is very vulnerable and shares my stuff, but is also empathetic, would that be advantageous, you think?
%. It definitely had a lot to do with you being vulnerable with me and sharing similar stories of, like, especially like the mindset and stuff, and feeling at times quite low and anxious and depressed, and you were very relatable with that. Like, you definitely shared the same page in a lot of that, and like, you didn't make me feel silly or stupid that I felt that way, or weak, even weak. You were actually the opposite and told me how strong I was to open up and share that, my story, and share my journey and where I was at. And I find that as you know, shared your story and your side of like what you had experienced, it was quite relatable because I had been through it similar. And I think it was nice for you to share your story with me, so it allowed me to open up about mine. So it definitely helps 100%.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And you know, there's been a lot of people that criticize that type of coaching because they think, oh, you know, you're trying to, you've got to be an authority. You can be an authority, but I'm still a human being. I'm still me.
Somebody, like, everyone has their tics, don't they? Like, everyone has their different tics, especially like how kids learn and stuff as well. You know, if you tell somebody they're not good enough, they start to believe that. If you tell somebody, oh my God, you're doing a really good job, however, maybe if you try that, that's how I tick. Like, if you're like, well, that's good, maybe if you try that, okay, I'll do better. And I think if somebody is like shouting and saying, get out of your feelings, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm in my feelings more than I was. Like, like that at all. Like, I'm like, baby. And the anxiety level goes like out the roof. So definitely somebody that's more empathetic and softer in nature, like yourself, that helps. But I say that, but I'm conflicted in my mind because there was times when you needed to kind of have that hard talk with me and say, right, Sam, like, stop. And I'm like, am I on a tangent? You're like, you're absolutely on a tangent. You're going to rein to me anyway, but you did it in a way that was like, I kind of came up with the answer as well. And like, that was just your method of coaching, which is very, very relatable and really helped me. Whereas you started being like more like the fast iron, I would have ran for the hills.
Yeah.
That's probably a lot to do with trauma or triggers and things that we talked about. So, yes, I definitely would not have appreciated being shouted at.
I think there's merit in both sides, but I think, yeah, like everyone's philosophy is different. And I just look at who do I need in my corner when I'm at my worst? And it's like, I don't need the yelling and screaming. I need the one that puts the hand on the shoulder and says, hey, I think you're being too hard on yourself. I think you really need to flip the script and look the other way and see what happens over there. And I think that's really more important. And I will always stick by that. And I'm never, ever going to go against my values. I won't change because I can't.
So the thing is, I don't think anybody that's asking for help, and if they're at the point that I was at, I can only talk from my story, or my journey, is that when you are in that state of mind and it's fear, if it's fear of letting others down, letting yourself down, being anxious and scared of change, confronting questions, being shut down or shouted at is definitely not way for growth, because you're so vulnerable. A listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, empathy brings out the best in people, because then once you get through that and you kind of talked about the wounds and reopened old wounds, journey after that is when it's like, look, we've been here, you're doing it again. That's when it comes in the tough love. That's when it's like, look, stop. You need to change. You need to stop what you're doing. This is old you. Stop. And that's where it comes in a little bit. But at the beginning, generally when people are coming in, like myself, lost and completely in darkness and not being heard, is when people do need the help the most. And I think you as a coach have definitely given me all those tools and all those support and that guidance that I really was needing, become stronger by being empathy, support, guidance, and love. Like, that was 100% what I needed, because I was screaming for it, but didn't know I was screaming for that. I was on that protection, but hiding it. I'm not vulnerable. I'm perfect. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do all these things. And then the minute it went, I'm not. I'm not perfect, and I'm scared, and I don't know what my why is, and why am I doing this? Is when you need that nourishing support from a coach.
Yeah, that's awesome, Sam. That's the whole reason why I got into doing coaching, was that right philosophy is just be the person they need at the time. You can assess that. There were times where I had to pull your head in and say, hey, like you need a couple of across the face and wake up. But more so than anything, it's like, I don't believe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You have to light the torch to find that tunnel, the end of the tunnel for yourself. But having someone that's lit their own torch or lit their own light, and knows that, if you just want to step forward through the darkness, you'll tend to find that your eyes will adjust, and then you'll see that that opening that comes through. But you have to make that choice, and that's the biggest thing with any transformation, is you can't make somebody do anything. You just push them or guide them to the point where they have to make that decision. And that, to me, is true coaching, is for you to be able to make the call on yourself, and now to have a life of abundance. And you still break down, you still have moments, this insecurities and all the rest, but they're very minimal compared to what they were before.
Also, you've given me the tools how to deal with those situations. Like, before, I would have definitely spiraled, and it would have spiraled, kick the fuck it bucket, like, when, well, I'm going to get a take weeks. I can't be bothered cooking, and I'm going to, and it was all these like old habits, and it was all these, what do we say, like, self sabotage, doing the self sabotage. So then you were the one that would go, stop, what you doing? Like, come on. And I think as a coach, that was, you didn't. You picked up the torch and gave it to me and went, get yourself out. Come on. What you need is a coach. That's where you need somebody to say, it's there, mate. Get it, see it, come on. And you as a coach are the one that shines the light on, not the tunnel, on the person.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that's very unique coaching that I didn't come across before, because I had coaching before. I'd went to speak to people before, and I never got a breakthrough. I never had the experience I had with you, and it was like you shone the torch on me.
That's awesome.
And it was pick up the torch and find the end of the tunnel. Get your shit and get out, and like that helped me. And that's true, it's so true. And I just feel very, very blessed to have had you as a coach, because I would have dreaded to think I would have been in a cycle of, okay, I'm okay, self-sabotage, I'm okay, self-sabotage, okay, I'm okay. And it was like for a long time. And a blaming game of everything. And now I have the tools when life will throw you curveballs. The life will happen, and you'll be in 2 months of like, life's great, and something will happen. And before, I would have self-sabotaged. I would have been in my feelings for days. I would have made every excuse not to do what makes you feel good, because it was a habit of what I'd created over 30 plus years. You gave me the tools to how to deal in situations, and it was allowing myself to be upset and say, actually, I don't like this. I don't like what's happened, and I'm really upset. And it's like, well, cry, mate. You're okay to cry. Like, it's upsetting, and I would get upset. And it's like, right, okay, logical brain's kicked in now. How can I fix this? And you gave me those tools.
That's awesome. What was your favorite part of the whole process?
Meeting you.
That's awesome.
It's true. I it's really, yeah, of course, that really do genuinely mean that. But out of the experience of a journey and what we've had, I can't really say one or two. Like, the list is endless. Like, the list is endless. Like, you opened my eyes to nutrition, to looking after myself, to self-love, self-care, make myself a priority. I don't feel guilty about it. A different way of thinking. The list is endless, and it's. If I had to really, you had to put a lot of pressure on me and say, I'd say the one thing: it's okay not to be perfect.
That's good. That's the best thing that you can take off in life, in my opinion. It's the one thing my psychologist told me years and years ago was I had a perfectionism attitude, and she just said to me, it's okay to be great at as many things as you want to be, but you cannot be perfect at any one thing. So open yourself up to greatness, because that's the most achievable thing you can get. So that's awesome. Anything you want to add to the end, mate, before we head off? Because we've had a good one today.
Honest, some of our calls, Jesus, it was like 2 hours. We're like, shit, I actually need to go pick up my kids. I think that's when we realised we were mates as well, and I'm like, well, how are you? And you were like, oh, you would chat and we would chat. Oh, yeah.
That's good.
I think for me is get a mic in your life, because I think investing in yourself isn't just getting a gym membership and thinking, okay, and get yourself a PT, even though I had an amazing PT back and forth where I did. She was amazing as well. But I would say invest in yourself, invest in your mindset, get you a coach like you, and just go all in, be vulnerable, talk about what's bothering you, don't hold back. And yeah, that's what I would say, is definitely get yourself a mic.
I love that. I think I need one.
I'm your mic.
Honestly, I know we'll probably have a chat after this call, but Sammy, I appreciate your time more than anything, and I wanted people to understand that transformation is one of the hardest things you can do in your life. Not at any age, really. Like, I mean, I've got a young client, Steph, and she's 23, I think. I'm sorry if I'm made you older, Steph, but she's been through a lot in her life for such a young woman. But she hasn't lost as much weight as she thought she would for the first 6-7 weeks. Her waist has gone down significantly, but her mindset is hugely different, and her attitude, her love of life. You can just see it with her mum and all the rest of it. Like, it doesn't matter what age you are. It's the hardest thing you're ever going to do is retrain your brain. But look at Sam. Look at Steph. It's not too late, and it'll be the best thing you'll ever do. As you said, invest in yourself. Money doesn't mean shit at the end of the day when you're in a box. What means the most in life is having experiences, living life to your fullest, enjoying your own company, bringing a great version of yourself to the rest of the world, so everybody that comes in your path can benefit from you being absolutely you. And yeah, that's the one thing I want to give away to people today is don't just lose weight or change from because summer's coming up and it's like you've got a life to live. Like, you've got a life to live, so enjoy it. Absolutely.
Monday.
What was that?
Wait till Monday.
Yeah.
I'll wait till Monday, or I'll wait. You know what? January. I'll wait till the Christmas. No, start now. Start
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's no different. There's still days in the week, right? All right, Sam.